You're watching Cakeland. This is Cake News.
Tornadoes touchdown in Kansas and Oklahoma. Now, this is video of a tornado touchdown in South Haven in Sumner County this afternoon. And strong winds and hail caused damage to homes and property in Wichita and surrounding areas. We'll take a closer look at the damage coming up. A local school bus toppled by a fast-moving creek. Everyone on board was pulled to safety.
Since I was the oldest, I was helping everybody else, and me and the bus driver was the last one out of the bus.
10 students on board escaped injury, but the bus driver taken to a hospital for treatment.
The kids were on the bus actually hugging each other. The older kids were supporting the younger ones.
Cake News at 10 starts now.
First, we start with breaking news.
We are tracking local breaking news.
We are tracking local breaking news, and you may have felt it just within the past 10 minutes.
A 10-month-old baby girl found dead inside a hot car in the 1500 block of South Topeka.
Cake's Madeline Anderson was the first on the scene. She now joins us live with more on this investigation. Madeline. Now, on the ground, the rain fell so quickly that it overwhelmed some storm drains on Wichita City streets. Not a big surprise to a lot of motorists. Take West Street, for example, near the 8th Street intersection, for example. The water rose so rapidly it surprised a lot of drivers. Some ended up stalled with either their cars flooded to the point they wouldn't run or their motors were steaming from the water their engines took in. Well, the damage from the storm surprising many homeowners in northeast Wichita. Our team coverage now continues with Cake's Jason Tarr, who went home by home to see what the wind and hail left in its wake. We do continue to track those storms and the damage throughout Cakeland. Cake's Parrish Allman now live in southwest Sedgwick County with an update. Parrish.
Larry, we have confirmed that it was an EF1 tornado that tore through this area, doing a lot of damage. It actually snapped power poles in half, and you can see behind me, left many lines dangling or laying in the roads. Westar crews are here on scene right now, trying to get those power lines back up and running.
It's crazy cold. It's freezing.
It's brutal. If you're going toward the north, you're in trouble.
And the bitter cold hits Cakeland and much of the rest of the country. We take a look at the dangers of tonight's cold weather. Good evening, everyone. Several school districts have taken heed to the cold weather and canceled school for tomorrow, but not Wichita Public Schools. Not Wichita. The decision has lots of parents puzzled. Erica says, "This is dangerous. My children will not be going." And Kelly writes, "That's unbelievable and ridiculous. The cold is insanely dangerous for little ones. They should have canceled. One more day off is not going to harm anyone." Well, let's get over to Ben Pringle to find out just how cold it will be in the morning.
Well, I like that one statement of crazy cold. And, of course, that's what we had through the day today.
A local school bus toppled by a fast-moving creek. Everyone on board was pulled to safety.
Since I was the oldest, I was helping everybody else, and me and the bus driver was the last one out of the bus.
10 students on board escaped injury, but the bus driver taken to a hospital for treatment.
The kids were on the bus actually hugging each other. The older kids were supporting the younger ones.
Cake News at 10 starts now.
And good evening. That is our big story on this Halloween night. We've got new exclusive images coming into the newsroom tonight of that rescue. Here is just one taken of the students on top of the bus. As you can see in back of me here, the rescuers are in the foreground.
And we also have a closer shot of those children. And of course, you can see the crews working to get to them and the children on top of the bus waiting very patiently. So here is what we know now. Around 4 this afternoon, northeast of Douglas, 10 Butler County children and a school bus driver were involved in an accident.
They were pulled to safety from a fast-moving creek after the bus toppled into the water, landed half submerged on its side. The Butler County Sheriff says the children climbed out of the windows and an exit door on the side and then stood on top until they were rescued. None were injured. Now, investigators are looking into how the accident happened, but authorities say the bus apparently went off a bridge the Douglas School District officials described as a low water crossing. The driver suffered minor injuries and hypothermia, was taken to Wesley Medical Center here in Wichita.
Cake's Parrish Allman and Phil White are live in Butler County to provide our team coverage. We begin with Phil, who shares details of this remarkable rescue. Phil.
It took a little over an hour or so to get everybody out, but
everybody's safe, and it's a good day.
Butler County Sheriff Kelly Herzit says the 10 students on this Douglas school bus wasted no time helping each other out of the bus. The injured driver helped too.
All the kids were in the process of getting out and being put on the top of the bus through a emergency hatch that was on the top of the bus. It was dry.
Members of the Butler County Rescue Squad were soon in the water using rope systems and boats to get the kids and driver to safety. Another important part of the rescue was keeping the children calm.
And make sure that they're okay and talk with them, make sure that they are as comfortable as possible, and let them know that we're there to help.
Rescuers have to remain calm too and keep their emotions in check, which can be tough with children involved. That's why they practice.
It comes back to the training and falling back to those basic things when the heat is on or in the moment, and we all keep each other in check.
This rescue ended as well as rescuers could have hoped, with all 10 kids going home safely and the driver suffering only minor injuries.
Jubilation amongst us as team members that we accomplished the job at hand, and we're just glad that everybody's safe.
Well, the superintendent of schools for Douglas says the driver radioed the accident in right away. That helped emergency crews get here quickly. The superintendent said he's also proud of students for the way they helped each other get off the bus, and he's proud the driver helped the students get off as well. Live in Butler County, Phil White, CAKE News.
Thanks, Phil. And we spoke with several of those brave students after this accident and their parents who feared the unknown as this rescue was underway. CAKE's Parrish Allman continues our team coverage now with their reaction. Parrish.
Well, Larry, there's really no other word to describe it. It is truly amazing that none of those 10 children were injured today, but the moments between their accident and when they were rescued were some tense and terrifying moments for both them and their families. Here's what some of those children described, what happened to them, and how they described how they worked together to help get themselves out. This is what the bus looked like from the outside, tipped over, halfway underwater. Trapped inside, 10 children and their bus driver.
They were crying and yelling. The bus driver was shaking a little, and a lot of kids were screaming and crying.
On dry land, the children's families waited, hoping for the best, but fearing the worst.
I was just praying to God that he was okay.
That he possibly died, and that it could possibly kill him, and I was pretty scared.
12-year-old Logan Parker, a 6th grader, tells us he helped the younger children get safely out of the bus.
Since I was the oldest, I was helping everybody else, and me and the bus driver was the last one out of the bus. So we all got out safely.
I went through the window, and it was a hard time getting everybody out.
We had to get out really quick through the emergency door, and we're so cold and wet. And there's water in my shoes.
Once all 10 children were out of the bus, they sat on top of it, waiting for help.
The water was really cold, and I had water touching my arm, and I started freaking out, thought I would drown.
Logan tells us his thoughts were focused on seeing his family again.
That my grandma would be there when I get down out of the water.
After all 10 children were rescued and reunited with their families, parents, grandparents, and loved ones could finally breathe a little easier.
Relieved that they're all right. I'm so sorry that the bus driver is not okay, but I'm relieved that the kids are all right and that they're all going home.
10 families happy to have their children back in their arms, thankful the kids weren't hurt, and proud they were able to get themselves out of harm's way.
The kids are so brave to help out. My grandson just completed some CPR training and through the Scouts and some first aid training, and so I'm glad that he had that so that he would keep his wits about him and be able to help everyone.
Again, none of those 10 children were injured. They tell us their bus driver was actually helping them get out of the bus when he was hurt somehow. He was briefly pinned, but he was able to get out himself. Again, he suffered minor injuries and hypothermia and is recovering at Wesley Medical Center in Wichita. We're live in Douglas. Parrish Allman, CAKE News.
All right, thank you, Parrish. And in the days to come, there will undoubtedly be questions about how an accident like this could happen. We do know a few things. We've had a lot of rain in the last 24 hours, and the bus driver was driving over what's called a low water crossing. Just minutes after the rescue was complete, the Butler County Sheriff was already talking about the steadfast rules of driving onto a flooded road.
There's a creek that runs through there, and with all the water we've had the last couple nights, it was running pretty swift across the road right there.
That road is Hopkins Switch, and as you can see from aerial footage, the water was rushing so swiftly it is hard to tell where the creek ends and the road begins, leaving some to ask one question tonight.
Don't know why the driver went through the water. I'm not going to speculate. The Highway Patrol is going to work the accident. They'll determine that. But there is quite a bit of water running down there. The bus is covered about halfway up.
The still unidentified bus driver, with other students' help, made sure every child was off the bus safely before he was the last one to exit. But Sheriff Hertzit says investigators will no doubt be looking into what happened in the moments prior to their escape.
And a lesson to be learned here maybe is not to drive through water. I mean, if you're unsure, and I'm not putting no blame on anybody at this point until we get the accident worked, but when there's high water, don't drive through it. Turn around. Go back another direction.
The superintendent of Douglas Schools says the bus driver has been with the district as a substitute driver for about 2 years. A clearly emotional Rob Reynolds relieved that both the bus driver and the 10 students are okay tonight.
And we're very thankful for that. A lot of these types of things don't end as well as that.
All right, let's recap what happened today. About 4 this afternoon, northeast of Douglas, 10 Butler County children and a school bus driver were involved in an accident. Now, they were pulled to safety from a fast-moving creek after that bus toppled into the water and landed half submerged on its side. Butler County Sheriff says the children climbed out of the windows of the bus and they all stood on top until they were rescued. Investigators now looking into how that accident happened, but authorities say the bus apparently went off a low-water bridge that Douglas School District officials described as that low-water crossing. Now, the driver suffered minor injuries and hypothermia.
You can be the first to learn about breaking news. Go to our web channel, KAKE.com. You can also get breaking news updates on the KAKE TV Facebook page, or, of course, by following KAKE News on Twitter.